things happen. But it's not easy. You know, some of these are very challenging tasks. So I just want to say thanks, you guys. You know, especially environmental management. It's such a fun topic. I gotta say, I've got 18 departments in the county of Hawaii. Right? 18 departments, 2,500 employees. Right? Budget probably now in excess of $400 million. And you try to provide all the support. You try to not micromanage, but hold accountable. You know, not get bogged down in details, but be aware of decisions being made and why. And environmental management has really been a really tough issue. And I think it's indicative by the fact that this issue that I'm going to talk to you about has been around for 20 years. You know, it's been around a long time. And I'm going to guess one of the reasons is just it's a very difficult decisions with a lot of implications, long-term costs. You know, there's a lot of different, or I should say, diverse viewpoints on how best to handle our waste stream. But this is where we're at, right here today. You know, we've had multiple directors, and any challenge that the department has confronted in the last few years, or any decisions that might be less than satisfactory is entirely, and I am entirely responsible. All the good things, of course, is because people like Sharon, who've been around a long time, keep the ship steered straight and things work well as the department heads. But where are we today? Okay. Bottom line is we cannot keep kicking this can down the road. No more studies. No more studies. I tasked one of my staff members, Ili here at Johnson. I said, Ili, pull up every study ever conducted. I just like to see them. He started, his desk started losing sight of him. Banker boxes started piling up. Because if I was going to be asked to do one more study, my response would be no, and this is why. And bring them in by dollies and saying, you know, we've had integrated solid waste management plans going back a couple of decades. We've done studies on waste reduction technology. We've done studies on trucking. We've done studies on the expansion of the Hilo landfill. No more studies. We're past studies. And so, where are we at? So the first thing I said, before we really embark on a strategic long-term initiative, we've got to establish a very strong foundation. And that strong foundation's got to be, people have got to trust this process that we're moving forward on. A lot of times, you know, when things take a long time, as this has, there's a lot of material to look at. And say, hey, how come it never worked? Why this? Why that? You know, to not make the same mistake. Before we even checked, we said, hey, Maui's doing it. Let's watch Maui move at first. See what happens with their waste reduction technology process. Let's go look at Oahu's. See, not interested in going to Germany or Taiwan. People say, you got to come look. Well, not really applicable here. Let's look at what our other counties here in Hawaii, Middle and Pacific are doing. And I said, you know what? People to trust this. Our information that we present has to be accurate. Bobby, because I know Sharon was jumping around too. I said, you guys, please don't put one figure in front of me that has to be modified after we present it. So if you've got to go back and redo your information, then we're already losing that credibility, that trust. The information has to be accurate. That information has to be timely. You know, the process we lay out has to be easily understood. People have to get a sense that it's fair. Not think it's fair, feel it's fair, but really get that sense. This is a fair process. And let's get to it. Let's set an aggressive timeline. Let's make sure we don't have to go back and redo anything. I'm looking at this like when we do a project, for example, like the Anakea-Hokululi Highway, where you're under an American Recovery Reinvestment Act or ARA deadline, where you miss one deadline, you're gone. That money's going elsewhere to another jurisdiction. So you've got to make sure you hit every deadline. That the minute you circle back around and have to redo a step of the process, you've lost the project. So, let's put very careful thought into laying out the process to make sure it's integral, make sure it's fair, and make sure people can understand it. Because a lot of times conflict comes from people not understanding or a sense that it's not a fair process. So I said, okay, everybody ready? Shoot, let's go. Let's figure this out. We sat down and just laid out white papers along the wall. I said, let's start discussing. So what do we have? Department of Environmental Management. This year you have a $38.1 million budget. You have 182 employees, 108 of which is in solid waste, right, versus wastewater. Right? You have, they have their own funding and they have general funds. So, wastewater division might have 1.7 million in general subsidies this year. Solid waste get 15.5 million in solid waste general fund subsidies. The rest they fund through sewer fees and tipping fees of that budget. So here you have this $38 million entity with 182 employees that operates 2 open landfills and 2 closed landfills, right? Hilo and Pu'u'anohulu open, Waimea and Kealike'i closed. But once you have a landfill, you own that landfill for life. The costs are ongoing costs. In addition, we have 22 transfer stations. From Hawaii Ocean View and Wai'ehu in South Kona to Hawaii in North Kohala. Right? So we operate these 22 transfer stations. In addition, wastewater, I think we've got 15 pump stations. And how many wastewater treatment facilities?
Six.
I got it right here, I just wanted to.
6.
6. Sure, I grasp, but he's facts here. So you got, right? That's the system. So how do we make this system work? So what's our options? Bottom line, what's our option? Well, clearly, this is the most regulated department in the county of Hawaii. There's 44 federal and state permits that govern this department. 40 EPA and DOH permits in solid waste, 4 that govern wastewater. You get this, so there's very strict adherence to state federal guidelines, and if we don't comply, it costs us money. Fine, so very strict adherence to these. So there's so much employees, the cell budget, these are the federal state permits that govern. Okay, so on the options, what's on the table? Well, our tonnage has gone up and down over time. Yeah, different studies have tracked different, for example, when R.W. Bath did the trucking study and looked at all of the options, at that time, we had 537 tons a day, 332 in West Hawaii, and 205 in East Hawaii. 532, yeah, 232, 205, right, 537. So that was the tonnage, and it's fluctuated since. So Pu'u'anohulu and Hilo, currently in Pu'u'anohulu, we have transfer stations from Lapuehoi, Pauilo, Honoka, Waimea, all going to Pu'u'anohulu. On the south side, we go around Ocean View to Pahala, right? Pahala comes Hilo.
No, Pahala goes to Kona.
Well, Pahala to Kona. So from Volcano, Glenwood, Keao, Pahoa, Kalapana, all to Hilo. So from Pahala, around, all goes to Pu'u'anohulu. So Pahala, Ocean View, Wai'ehu, Waiohino, Kealike'i, all goes, Keho, it all goes to Pu'u'anohulu. So, what's our options going forward? There's only 3, right? One is we truck to Pu'u'anohulu all of our trash, but that's off the table. Nobody, that's too divisive in our community. So that's one. And we have to move forward quickly because at any time, EPA, DOH could revoke our Hilo landfill permit. That permit's month to month as you know. So there's trucking of poo on Honolulu. Number two is opening up a new landfill. The latest study cost of opening the landfill is $222 million. When you talk about capital costs, because of the high rainfall, we got to have a leachate issue, and because of the high volume of leachate, we either got to create wetlands or create a waste water facility just to handle the water and leachate from it. Three, the location is right next to the Hilo Airport. Highly unlikely to get that permitted. We already have a bird strike problem at the airport as it is. Hard to imagine the FAA and other federal agencies approving the expansion of the landfill. So, and the time that it's going to take to do it. So, Hilo landfill, cost prohibitive, high likelihood that it won't get permitted, and a time. So, what do we have left? Waste reduction technology. And we're keeping it as broad as possible, waste reduction technology. You know, it could go from mass burn, waste to energy facility, gasification, plasma art, syngas, refuse-derived fuel, as Maui did. So there's a myriad of options. But we want to be certain that any waste reduction technology we pursue for our beautiful, special, unique, wonderful island is proven, safe, environmentally friendly. We're not going to be the guinea pigs here of the Pacific. I don't like, you know, I've put a strict moratorium on all of our staff, administrators, and cabinet to not meet with potential vendors. It's endless. I mean, you can sit around and meet with guys every day who telling you, hey, bro, we got the solution. We get this special project in Germany, Italy, or wherever. You know, on the East Coast, West Coast, Canada, Central. Like, no. We want a proven technology that adheres to strict EPA guidelines. You know, you cannot show me something in a foreign country that isn't governed by strict environmental regulations because it's not applicable. It's apples and oranges, or apples and broccoli, you know, not even close. And so we want something proven, number one. Number two, we want something that is proven safe for community, safe for environment, and not. And we've had a high threshold. We want something that is proven for a period of 3 years. We want to make sure that the people we have bidding aren't fly-by-night vendors. We want to make sure that we get the best qualified people. So why waste reduction technology? Well, think about it. We can take something that is currently a liability and increasing landfilling and turn it into an asset, right? Hawaii Island can reduce our dependency on fossil fuels. We can effectively manage a growing waste stream. And we can turn it into an asset by creating energy, making us less dependent on outside energy, more energy sustainable, on a firm, reliable fuel source. Every day, we get 400 to 500 tons of waste, solid waste here on the island. You know, it's not solar, it's not wind, it's not intermittent, it's not up and down. It's a solid, firm, reliable source of fuel. So that's why we've gone forward and said, okay, this is the path. So if this is the path, then what is the timeline? So time we presented to the Hawaii County Council a couple weeks ago on February 4th. Of course, today is to talk with all of you about what we're doing, answer any questions that all of you have. You know, we're here to talk story, not just to present. So the goal is March 3rd. So in discussing options and in discussing process, we said, what is the best process? The best. So the best process, after much discussion, is a two-stage request for proposal. And a two-stage request for proposal, stage one is basically a request for qualifications. We want to make sure the proposal we're looking at is not only a safe, proven proposal, but that the bidder or vendor is a proven vendor. You know, you have to show us that you have safely, efficiently, cost-effectively managed a waste reduction technology for at least 3 years. Number 3, you have to show us that you have the financial wherewithal to move this project forward. You know, we want to look at, you know, so we looked at the previous proposal back in 2007, the Wheelabrator proposal, if you will, and what was the challenges with that. You know, before it was a 2-year prove-it technology. We wanted 3. At the time, it was all public financed, right? We would float and pay for all of the cost. This time around, we're looking for option. Show us a privately financed proposal. You know, you build it, you operate, we benefit. Anyway, you gotta ask that. So that's the idea. That, you know, when we spend the time, the effort, the resources, the energy in reviewing your proposal, we want to make sure you're for real, basically. You got the money, you got the technology, you've got the track record. So that's stage 1. And then, at that point, we will have in front of the County of Hawaii qualified bidders. Then there's a stage 2 RFP. Now show us your proposal. Otherwise, if you just do one stage, the challenge is they'll come in with everything. Now, we are clearly under the mind that this is going to be challenged by anybody who doesn't get it. You know, I don't, you know, as an attorney, you know, I'm embarrassed of my profession. No, I'm just kidding. You know that I'm an attorney and a politician. That's tough. Sit in a room and jokes start flying. You know what I mean? When I go talk to teachers, I always tell them, you guys, that's the honorable profession. And then, you know, I want to honor teachers. I truly believe that. Education is really the greatest equalizer of our society. And our teachers at every level are our greatest assets. But I always tell them, you know how you guys know you're the most honorable professional? Have you ever heard a teacher joke? I said, no, it's not. I've never heard a joke about a teacher. But politicians and lawyers, you know. No. So you know, right, because it's such a big ticket item, you know, this will probably be the decision that will be presented to all of you at a future date. Probably the largest public works project the County of Hawaii will have ever undertaken. Currently, as the West Hawaii Civic Center is about $50 million. Right? We've got our telecommunication FCC mandated upgrade of $30 million. You know, just for cost purposes, a road, mid-level road, $30 million. This is probably going to be more than that, but hopefully privately financed. So, because we can anticipate a legal challenge by those who weren't successful in the process, we need to make sure that every step of that process is airtight and wide open. And so that's why we went stage 2. Because, you know, you get 100 proposals, you know, everybody can say, this way we're just dealing with what we believe to be the best qualified ones, the proven ones. So March 3rd, RFP, response is due by April 15th, about 6 weeks. June 2nd, make a determination of qualified bidders in stage 1 who have met our strict criteria. Give them another 6 weeks, July 15th, issue the second stage of the request for proposal. Subsequently, 90 days to have proposals due, with the understanding that the minute they make that shortlist in June, they should already be working on their proposals. To have a vendor selected by January 5th of 2015. In a year from now, and 3 months later, April 3rd, so basically 13 months after issuing our first stage of the RFP, to have finalized evaluations, negotiation, resolution, and present a contract both to the council and to the Environmental Management Commission. So the concerns that come up is, hey, how are you going to meet your project? So we did an asset. You know, people have said, oh, you need 500 tons a day to be cost effective. That's what I heard. You guys, big island, you cannot do it because you need 500 tons a day. So we did an asset flyer by, a scan of waste reduction technology facilities currently operating in the United States, like-sized municipalities. And we had a whole list of places all around the country that were doing 200 ton a day, 300 ton a day, 150 ton a day facilities. So we said, let's aim for what we believe could get us a cost of about 300 tons. What is that? Well, we could make work and guarantee on a daily basis, regardless of fluctuations of tonnage, right? Because slowdown in the economy, it's amazing how our solid waste tracks the economy. Like in 2009, 2010, looking at construction. Hey, how's construction? We're down. We're down at least 20% at this point. You check with the car guys. Hey, how's your sales? We're down 20%. My brother-in-law is the head of Matson for that, Russell Chivitz. Hey, Russell, how's Matson? What are you guys doing? We're down 20%. I check with the landfill. How's it going? We're down 20%. Like, whoa. I'm not saying it's always that way, but it's very, what comes in, right? A lot of how we move. But when the economy's coming back, we started to see the tonnage come up again, too. So what can we guarantee through? We looked at it. So we laid out a map of the island, all transfer stations, how we go ahead, how do we meet in Hilo 300 tons? Right? We have a contract, on a Hulu, where we pay on a sliding scale. Right? The more tonnage we go up, the less we pay per ton. But we have to guarantee a minimum tonnage. I believe it's about 200 tons, 150. 200, yeah. So we looked at the cost. If we did that, then we'd have to present 300 tons. Figure out all we'd have to do is reprogram a couple transfer stations and send them to Hilo. Pahala. Yeah, Waiuhino?
From Ocean
Wai'ewu
View
for Ocean View.
to Hilo.
So we'd go Pahala, Waiuhino, Ocean View, redirect that to Hilo. Now, I know in Waimea, the concern is traffic, but we'd actually lessen traffic in Waimea because instead of Lapuehoi, Pauilo, Honoka going through Waimea, all of that would be redirected to Hilo, up to and including Waimea. So instead of 3 transfer stations going through, 1 would come back. And we believe from Waimea to Ocean View, reprogramming that gets Hilo, it's 300 tons a day. So that's the amount we're looking to work around. Now, people say, whoa, is that gonna impact recycling? Is that gonna impact our green waste? So our green waste tonnage determined in 2012 was 112 tons a day. In 2013 was 104.8 tons a day. And we are not looking at utilizing the green waste. We want to keep the green waste, in fact, I'd like to see that green waste become a higher value product by composting and creating fertilizer and support for our farmers. We've tried to go organic composting as another challenge. So we're not going to touch that 108 tons of green waste a day. Currently, our recycling has gone up from when we took office of 27% up to 38% today. Of course, some of that, of course, is true less tonnage, but so what do we reduce, reuse, recycle? Scrap in 2012 was 96.5 tons a day, scrap metal. Today it's 57.5 tons. And thanks to the hard work of the department, we've actually turned that around from where we would pay for scrap metal in the past. We're currently getting paid for scrap metal today. Others, paper, plastic, tires, in 2012 was 39 tons a day. In 2013, it's up to 54 tons a day. Now this is our tonnage. This doesn't count the increased recycling efforts of the private sector. Right? You listen to the radio, you hear, bring us your scraps, give us your aluminum, we'll pay a premium. So we're seeing increased diversion. And in the last 5-6 years, our administration has focused on that. We've built, the wine mill transfer station up to increase recycling, provide reuse effort. The Pahoa transfer station that we recently built, it's a beautiful transfer. The model, we'd like that. I'd like to see that at all of our transfer stations where to get people to increase recycling, you gotta make it easy, right? Easier. Recent contract went out where we actually expanded our reuse sites, right, from 6 to 7.
We're going to start one in Hilo.
So we're really focusing on, and we actually got a very favorable contract around that reuse as well. And so we've actually been reducing our costs while increasing our results. It's cool to be in government and say that. Not often. You get to say we're reducing costs and increasing results, but the record clearly states that. And what we've shown is just a simple reprogramming of our transfer stations. We can get our required tonnage without touching our current recycling efforts or touching or impacting our current green waste diversion. So we can still educate, outreach, and inform our public and incentivize recycling. We believe it's just a good value to add in our community. And so that's where we're at. That's my overview of what we're pursuing, why we're pursuing it, and the timeline that we expect to get this process completed in. I take full responsibility for this effort. I know it's talked about by administrations president past, but it's, I certainly wish I was sitting before all of you in 2008, beginning of 2009, but we've benefited from the time as well. Having seen Maui go through the process. One of the challenges, of course, is Maui went through the entire process, selected a vendor, and then went to the utility. Currently, Maui Electric is saying, nah, not really interested in your current selection, and that's a challenge, right? So we've had very informal communications with HELCO, but hoping that as this process moves, we want to increase our communications, formalize it, so that it's concurrent with this process. Not consecutive. In other words, it would be nice to have a framework by which we say, at 300 tons, like-sized facilities produce 7 to 8 megawatts. To be able to have, say, 7 to 8 megawatts as an agreement open for an agreement to be reached at X cents per kilowatt hour. Not necessarily have a PPA approved by the PUC, but have that framework and agreement in place, because it would go a long way towards determining costs and revenue from a waste reduction technology if those numbers are already in place.
So just to be clear, the absence of a PPA would not stop the process in your plan?
No, absolutely not. And we've worked really close with HELCO and understanding that we're not just for renewable energy, we're for cheaper, more cost-effective renewable energy. And we've worked directly with them. For example, we did a third-party PPA for our Westaway Civic Center, 250 kilowatt photovoltaic system. And we've had very open communications with them with regards to different energy efforts. We've opposed Pono. We didn't feel it was a cost-effective initiative, but we've also supportive of other renewable energy efforts. But we are hopeful, John, that we'd have that in place, a framework, not exactly a finalized PPA, because there's much to be done with this process. But we don't want to end up with a vendor, with a contract, and another 18 to 24 months on the back end before we finalize that. So we want to make that move as we speak. So we're hopeful, considering for our increased energy demands. Some of the challenges that are out there with other energy proposals, right? They went out with our 25 megawatt geothermal that, you know, they still got Honolulu sitting out there. So I think there's a, you know, there's a space and a place for our proposal going forward. Anybody have anything? Yes.
If, you know, depending on the companies that are selected, let's say waste to energy, where would that facility be?
We're right now, currently, in the process of mapping out, designating a site. We are presently anticipating that it would be at the Hilo transfer station, you know, because whatever waste reduction technology is ultimately selected or utilized, there is always residue or leftover, and you want it as close to the transfer station as possible. We have the land area already there, it's all permitted, open. We see perhaps the sort station location being a good site to be utilized. The sort station could be integrated into it to do pre-sort prior to introduction into the technology being utilized. So that's the site we've looked at and are ensuring that it's appropriate and can be part of the proposal.
So that includes EPA permits for, I mean, that's a pretty broad spectrum of what might be there. So would you foresee any obstacles with EPA in regard to waste?
There's still, the ultimately successful vendor is responsible
For that.
for doing all of those permits.
Prior to even presenting this proposal?
No,
I'm sorry.
no, she's making like that's accurate, right?
Yeah, but they don't get the permits before they make their proposal.
Right.
After we
That's not what she
select
has
it.
to. Yeah.
You both answered.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Fair.
She's just taking deep breaths out.
I just want to say I'm for this, but I think the concern about trucking through Waimea is exaggerated. I think it comes from the old east versus west conflict or whatever it is. And also, and the fact that it's trash and it stirs people up. But I don't, you know, during the infamous pilot project, I don't think anybody knew whether the trucks were going through Waimea or over the Saddle Road. I don't think anybody noticed them.
I never know that. It makes it pretty secret.
It makes a great story in the newspaper.
No.
Hey, there's a controversy. And people say, oh, there's a controversy? Good. We have logging trucks going through Waimea every 15 minutes or more often. Nobody that I've ever heard of has ever said, oh, that's too much. This is a problem. White, clean, freshly painted trucks, closed trucks rolling through Waimea. If there are 3 or 4 more a day, nobody.
I got you, Sharon, but we want to make sure that
It's the perception
that's
of
it,
reality.
right. And it's like our administration. Everything is towards equity and balance, right, to the island. Just because it was really a long-standing issue, right, east and west, and rightfully so. For those of us who don't live there, we wouldn't know. But there's that sense of inequity that drives or exacerbates that sense of east and west. But one of the, I think, the proudest accomplishments of our administration and our community is the fact today there's a very different sense of that. Yeah, hopefully. But I hear what you say, because everything on this island moves through truck. Right, our 2 ports are Kauai and Hilo, right? So everything comes in Hilo, a lot of it goes to the west side. A lot of what comes in through Kauai comes to this side. And so most of our goods and services are all being moved through trucks. So, but I wanted to address that element so as not to stir up that
I'm not
side.
advocating trucking to everything to Honolulu.
I was going to bring everything from Pu'anahulu here. It would just be easier. If we didn't have that contract in place at Waste Management, we'd have much greater flexibility. So we've still got to send our trash. If we're going to pay for them, we might as well make sure, we address that minimum tonnage. But absent that long-standing contract with Waste Management, we would have had greater flexibility. I mean, you could turn and reprogram all your waste stream and send it to a waste reduction facility, which would allow us to grow perhaps a larger facility that might be more cost-effective through economy of scale. But we have what we have in place, so I'm hoping that addresses that.
If there were a company that were able to handle less than the minimum that you established, the 300,000, would the county be open to having 2 waste energy facilities, if it were possible or feasible at the other?
Right now, Ann, we're just looking at one facility. Yeah, because there's variations, right? We've been asked by the council, hey, could you make a proposal to take down the Hilo landfill? Take the existing landfills and process it. Because Kealakekee presents a challenge. That's still, right? I mean, we get the Kealakekee landfill still sitting there smoldering, and, hopefully that will be a subsequent phase of this. But yeah, right now, currently, we're just looking at one facility, one project at this time. But there are other projects floating around, and proposals out there that have gone on in the past. There's a proposed waste reduction facility for Neoha, some state revenue bonds, a company has proposed that. But for now, one project, East Hawaii based, approximately 300 tons. It's still open on technology. But, what amazes me, people tell me, hey, you sure you can do this? Sure this is doable? I say, hey, look at Oahu. Oahu is probably 1/6 the size of our island, with 8 times the population. They've been operating H-Power for 2 decades now. And you got to figure the congestion, right? The density of residents, Kapolei, businesses, Waikiki sitting, as the crow flies, you're, 10 miles away, probably from H-Power. And you never hear a complaint or a concern from residents, schools, community, businesses, or tourism. It's pretty amazing. I'm telling you, you do a site visit, you can't even believe you see one waste reduction facility there. And they process over 2,100 tons a day in that facility. So we're not talking about, some unproven, Buck Rogers kind of technology. We're talking about, these kinds of projects have been ongoing for some time. And it gives me some confidence knowing that, there's a project on an island in a community nearby that we can look at and see and at least receive some assurance that, they know what they're doing. They're handling their waste stream, they're doing it in a clean, safe, efficient manner, and producing electricity, firm, reliable electricity. So we're hopeful that we can do the same. Yes?
I want to commend you and the department for coming to the council with your plan. I think it's very well thought out and a good job. And I'm encouraged by this. And I just would like to ask just to keep the commission here and the council informed as we go down the timelines and everything. And I think you've got good support there, and I think we support you. So.
And if you guys have any questions at any time and would like to receive an update, just shoot us a call. Happy to do it, along the way. Hey, what, this commission, is it an executive session?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. See, so, because once we hit the procurement stage,
Right.
once the RFP issued, it's locked down, right? Because you want the process to be integral.
That was my next question. So when the RFQ, you said you want all experience, technology, and financial stability. So who's going to be, I know you've got procurement rules to follow, but who's going to be reviewing the submittals, RFQs that are submitted?
You have the team?
think we're finalizing.
Setting up a committee. or
Okay, yeah,
something.
we're fine. I'm trying to select the best people we have. We know to do it. And we'll make sure that we have that team in place. It should be in place before we receive our proposals. And we'll make sure we get somebody who understands finance, somebody who understands constructions and bids and awards, somebody who understands the county history, projects, department. Cannot be the department heads. Yeah. So these guys cannot sit on a review.
Procurement law.
Right, right,
But an employee can. For example, the solid waste chief can sit on it, but not the department heads.
Because I have to review their recommendations, that's why the procurement code says I can't be the one that sits on the committee.
So, good question. Yeah. So I mean, just to give some assurances, if I am keenly aware of how important this is and how any of it will be challenged. So we want to make sure that it's the best people we have who can stand by every decision along the way.
It starts next week.
Well, these guys, everybody's working really hard. Hey, could it be March 7th? No. What about if, no. So that's my job, right, to ensure that everybody is me. So, we're doing as much as we can. I've got Bobby Jean full-time on it. We've got one whole team working on it. They've gone through purchasing, professional services to bring on experts in procurement, experts in the RFP process, and municipal waste reduction technology process. I met John, said, John, I need you to take a greater role in day-to-day management of the department. I need Bobby Jean to utilize the team to be focused on this. So we've sat down and worked out day-to-day operations so that maximum effort we put in, because Sharon's got to do her thing over there. Like the Matrix. Sharon, just put her in like the magical black belt system will just do everything at the department. I'm just not sweating that. But no excuses. If we gotta work all day all night, then we're gonna work all day all night. If we gotta work through weekends. I mean, even on this, in preparation for this, I try to treat it like a trial. It's my only experiences I have to work on is just maximum effort, where all the information is laid on the table. All questions get asked ahead of time. There's no bad questions, no bad information. There's double, triple, quadruple check everything. So I'm like, okay, this Sunday I want everybody in Sundays. So my office is like a war room, like pre-trial. There's stuff hanging, papers, I'm not cleaning up nothing. I know where everything's there. I'm telling these guys, this Sunday I want everybody in. Bobby goes, before or after the Super Bowl? I was so into it. I didn't know what happened Super Bowl. I was like, oh, so sorry everybody, so sorry. But that's the kind of effort. This is as big as anything I'm going to tackle. And if we don't do it, I gotta know that we did everything we could. We pushed as hard as we possibly could, as strategically as possible. And so that's why I'm telling them, hey, you guys, anything that touches this, I want a CC, I want every email. Any questions, present them to me. I don't want any miscommunications. I don't want multiple points of communication in the department. Just because it's about credibility and trust, and everything has to be accurate. And, we cannot be, but John said, you know what I mean, it was 120 and you 150, like, what? John said what? But Sherm said, and like, hey, wait. And then you're really stepping backwards, right? Like, yeah, everything's got to be clear, focused, and forward.
Well, if there's anything the commission can do to help move this forward, apart from the monthly meetings, we certainly don't do that.
maybe one collective pulley. Because it's not about just, I mean, you need, in all of policy making, you have to have some good fortune. You know what I mean? It's not all strategy and resources and allocation, right? I'm really hopeful. I look forward to coming back before this commission in a few months to update both the commission and the council where we're at. I feel really good about what's sitting in front of us. Just hopeful that people look at the County of Hawaii and look to be good partners in this effort. I'd be stoked to see where it's like, wow, which one? Like, wow, we get somebody to do this, and that for us. Oh, great. Just preliminarily. Yeah, so I can see that we'll probably update where we're at in a few months. Stage 1, where we at, how many people qualify, and then say, hey, what kind of technologies that are being proposed, along the way, and see where we're at with that. So, and then if we make any progress with Helco, let you guys know as well. I've got to get that on my calendar. Right now, I haven't spoken with them. Been meaning to. But I want to get this finalized and out the door. But everybody's working really hard. I'm very proud of it. There's a lot of technical stuff flying around. I can't remember monitoring one conference call, and I just would walk out. I get ADHD, I think. I can give myself my best in solid 15, 20 minutes. But reach a point, it's so technical, the language. So, I've got a core counsel assigned, right? I said, hey, who's the best we got on contracts? I said, oh, yeah, so and so. Okay, he's assigned, he walks in, what is this about? Congratulations, you're working on this project full time now. And purchasing, you're in this full time. Who else we need around the table? I don't want to find out somebody later going, oh, you should have called me sooner, we could have avoided that. Because, when it's complex, you cannot miss. We see people fighting with protests for the playground, and small construction project, right? In a tough economy, companies file protests at almost every award, it's very challenging. So, in one sense, it made our procurement really tight, right? Because people will challenge. And so that's the challenge of the knowing we're being challenged. But it's a good thing too.
But if they challenge, it won't stop the process moving forward.
There'll be a delay to review it, but if we do our jobs, we're hopeful that that's just part of, we've kind of trying to factor in that in the process as well, that if somebody protests, that we give time for review of that protest. But if we do our job, everybody dots every I, we cross every T, and the process is a fair, integral one that we believe we've set up. And we have the best and brightest that we have working on it. We should be okay. That's the goal.
Well, this is a very exciting time, and we will work on the cooling.
And then I know we showed a couple commissioners, or 3.
Yes.
So congratulations, John. Thank you for working intensely and daily upon that. Would you please go out and work with Shar and find good, qualified candidates and have them in panel, because we need as much input as we can from all the districts and hear everyone's concerns. Everybody okay? Any more questions? Pretty cool story about Shar. What I say?
That's the next trial.
Okay. Oh yeah, Lava Man on the 30th in Waikoloa. We're doing Lava Kids too, working with Jerry. We're going to do Lava Man triathlons in our schools. And that's one of the initiatives we're launching. The ground level is a health and fitness initiative. Because healthcare, Randy Crowe has been working with, we've working on a Beacon grant, right? $60 million health information exchange, College of Pharmacy, rural residency. you get to the point where you realize, hey, what can we do on a municipal, on a county level? I cannot increase reimbursements to Medicare, Medicaid, but if we get everybody, the kids to be healthy, you know, we promote our farmers markets to eat healthy, buy local, and make it a big fun. Like next month in a couple weeks, I'm taking my wife and we're going to jump rope with the entire Kearney Coco Elementary School. We got a sponsorship to buy 600 jump ropes, and going to the schools, and doing fun runs in KL, in Peony. So just trying to make it like, hey, Uncle Billy can, you guys can.
How long can you jump rope?
Oh, I'm practicing right now. I the kids, they don't like look at you and be tripping, falling down. But I know the program's an hour total, but that's Talk Story and answer questions with the kids. But I think it's an important value to integrate in our community. Just, you know, because, you know, we all expect just go hospital, go doctor, get medicine, get better. And that's not working. I mean, our healthcare costs, for 2,500 employees, go up 23% in 1 year, you know, and just this runaway cost in healthcare, which is this national crisis. But in talking to other mayors, if your community embraces these values of exercising more and eating better, your whole community gets healthier, healthcare costs go down, visits to doctors go down, and it works out great. So, figure, plus it keeps me from going crazy. Out there on the road, swimming, biking, running, it's pretty fun. Never mind you coming last, you know, you gotta let it go, guys. Don't touch me, please. Let me get to the finish. But thanks you guys, mahalo for everything. Thanks, Sharon. Appreciate it. Okay, Johnny. Okay, BJ. Aloha. Ines.
Okay, back to the director's report.
Okay,
We were on,
Hala, we discussed that earlier, and that's still an ongoing
Right.
investigation.
John, if I could pick back up to, not label for a sec.
Okay,
It's just point A. Wastewater Division plans to conduct a public meeting. Would that be with the Ahaboku Council?
yes.
In the next few months, or?
Not necessarily Kahamoku. This is intended to be a public meeting for the general public,
would
not
include
just
that.
who's in
If
the
they want to.
Ahamoku. If they want to come, they can come, but this will be for the general, because Ahamoku is basically just a Native Hawaiian organization, as opposed to the general public who is impacted by the project. You know, it's the residents in the area, and that's a much broader issue.
Great. So you think within the next couple of months, or?
Yeah, because we're in the process of doing the EA, and so part of that process will be going out to the public to discuss options and get input from them before we finalize.
Okay, let me hear, because that was the question that came to me. I think they were under the impression that it was a done deal, and anyway, we're requesting, and just a thought, you know, because one of the other issues that was brought up was the odor. If that is the site,
It's the preferred site, and the reason is we've looked at lots of sites, and you also want a site where you can do gravity flow. And you need a site that's not too far away, because the farther away you are, the greater your cost, because that's additional miles, you know, or feet of height. And so this is the preferred, and this is not the first site we looked at either.
exactly.
You know, we've gone through, oh, we're gonna go that, no, we can't do that one. Oh, we're gonna go that, no, that one doesn't work. And so there's been a process, and I think that we need an opportunity to kind of explain to the community the history of what we've done, what we've looked at, what the constraints are, what the issues are, and you know why we're looking at this site. The community concern is, well, it's one family's concern that is raising issues about its proximity to historic sites. And I think the difficulty is that what they're not aware of, and that what we're taking a look at, is you also need to be 1,000 feet away from wells for the drinking system. And so some of the things where they're talking about get us closer to DWS's facilities. So there's trade-offs in terms of when you evaluate the sites.
Wasn't there a dairy farm there
In
prior?
the,
So isn't it industrial use?
I believe there was a dairy farm in that area, but I don't think that that's the issue for people. It's really about the proximity to what they call the Makahiki site.
Right.
And so there's also some sites that have been identified for acquisition by the Open Space Fund. And so, I think that this one family say, well, look, why do you want to put it next to a historic site? And so we're going to have that discussion, I think, in a public forum where we've got some maps and talk about, here's a site, here's what we have to do, we've got a gravity flow. If you go here, there's this problem. If you go here, there's a problem. Everybody wants a wastewater treatment plant, but the problem is finding a site to locate it that works for the environmental issues as well as community concern. And the reality is that, we may not end up with a site that everybody is happy with. It's going to be what works for the majority of the community. And then if there's some issues, we'll talk about mitigation. And can you mitigate if the concern is that you can see it, right?
Right.
Because that was one of the issues. Can we mitigate that by doing planting around it? Or does that create another problem, right? Maybe we need to go and evaluate exactly what the view planes are, because maybe it's not as big a concern as they think it is.
Right. And what about odor? Can you mitigate odor? Because the same thing's gonna come up for Pahala.
Yeah.
Odor.
Well, odor, I think, is, how well you operate the facility, and from time to time, you have issues, but as you mentioned, there was a dairy farm there. And I can assure you that dairy farms are frequently significantly more odoriferous than a waste treatment plant. Because I think it was not Waimanao, Waimanao on Oahu. I remember the dairy farm out there and going past it. I remember when Miley on the Oahu coast. And it wasn't just, every home could smell the dairy farm. And there was also a huge fly problem if you resided in the Miley area. So, hey, is anything we do perfect? Is anything we do without issues? Our department is really about trying to run what for many people are objectionable operations that they would like to have out of sight, out of mind, where you can't see it, if you could kind of go into an alternate time zone and do this stuff so people didn't have to deal with it, they would like that. But the reality is that we're frequently constrained by what land is available, by trying to put stuff in close proximity to the operations. And in the case of a wastewater treatment plant, it's gravity flow that has a lot to do with where, because anytime you don't do gravity flow, then you've got to put in pump stations, and then your risk of stuff backing up, of something going wrong, increase. Every time you have to add one more mechanized component, that's one more thing that can go wrong, which is why you like to design as simply as you can. And so that's the goal of doing the wastewater treatment facilities in both Naleu and Pahala, is to try and be simple and less mechanics. So the reason we're looking at pond systems is they're easier to operate, they have less problems, you have less issues on corrosion, you also have less issues on smelt and stuff. And you need less manpower. So we're also looking at it in terms of operational costs. because ultimately you gotta pass on operational costs to the public. And so our goal is to try and do a safe facility where we keep operational costs down, but we also address the environmental concerns of the community.
Just a question, gang cesspools, isn't there an odor from that as well? If we're looking at Pahala, behind the radio
I
station.
don't know that anyone's complained about the gang cesspool, because I think the gang cesspools that they have go into lava tubes.
Oh.
So, it disappears quickly. It doesn't stay around long enough to be a problem. But lava tubes are an issue. And that's one of the things that when we looked at sites, sometimes you have to reject a site because you find a lava tube in the area. So it's been more problematic than I think anyone anticipated in terms of finding a suitable site for both Nuevo and Pahala. But I think, we went from looking at a large septic system to saying that ultimately we made the decision to go more towards a wastewater treatment facility because we thought that it was a better environmental approach, and two, it would have the capacity to have additional homes down the road hook into the system.
So just another question, because one of the things that was brought up was, leakage into, the fresh water and beach and all that, but with cesspool, and what already exists, there's leaching
This is
through
whatever we do is
into
better
the-
than what you have right now. And I think that people need to understand that. Right now, you've got hundreds of homes going into a large capacity cesspool,
which has absolutely no.
which has no treatment, which goes immediately and permeates into the ground. We don't know where it goes, we don't know what's happening. With this, it's not gonna go anywhere until it's been treated. We're going to be, purifying it, we're gonna be removing solids from it, we're going to, and if you've ever been to Kealakeke, and we're looking kind of like a mini Kealakeke, and hey, that system works really well. I think it's just, sometimes it's fear of the unknown, because we haven't done something like this out in that area.
Well, it's that, and I think during that public meeting, it's also, educating people about what exactly exists currently and what that's doing to your fresh water, et cetera.
Yeah.
And, because I don't think, as you say, people do not pay attention to wastewater. And it's critical, and if people come to love wastewater, have a passion for it, but understand, that's what out of sight, out of mind.
I've had guys tell me, well, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong with my cesspool, I flush, it goes down.
Yeah, I don't smell it.
Yeah, I don't, so, and they don't understand there's a connection between that and potentially groundwater. And also for us, what's pushing this is that the EPA said you gotta shut it down. So we're under the gun.
Are you being currently, is CAR being currently fined?
No, because they understood that we were taking on what were private systems, they have been, and we inform the EPA regularly about what we're doing and the steps we're doing, so that they know we are making our best effort to move forward. And they're fully aware that there are issues, and every time something comes up. So we haven't been fined because they want us to do the projects. They don't want to get in the way, but we make sure that they know what we're doing, when we're doing it, and why we're doing it, so that they can give us help and not fine us. And they haven't come anywhere close to say that they're going to fine us on that.
And so the next phase, the construction of, plant, you may have mentioned this in the last meeting, but the funds, have we already put in a request for those funds? Clean water, safe revolving funds, or are you looking at different options?
We've got some commitments, and we've had some assurances that if the projects come in over budget, that that they will work with us. to find additional funds, because these are two projects that the EPA as well as the State Department of Health want to go forward, and they want these projects done, so they will work with us. We had the same assurances on, another project that was coming in over budget, and we're rebidding Kalakahi as a result. But we've been pretty much reassured by the state that they will work with us to find additional revolving fund money, because these are projects that are high on their priority list.
And has the department inherited any other gang cesspools? No,
We haven't inherited others that we haven't already taken care of. We had a couple that were affordable or innovative communities. We had one in Gila, Kohana, we had Kuimuliukalani Village in Kona. But what you can't control sometimes is that there are other private systems, and then you kind of, in order to help the community, you end up being involved. We have the Lono Kona sewer improvement district, and that takes time and effort from our staff to support that effort. And we don't know if there's other stuff out there that we don't know about. People in Pahoa want a sewer study, Pu'uko'o wants a sewer study. So that's the unknown factor, because frequently what happens if there is a need identified in the community, like we had to take over Ponoka'a and expand that, a lot of individual property owners can't do a project by themselves. So if a new need arises, then probably go to the mayor and ask for additional staff. But I'm just saying, at this point we don't know, but you never know. We weren't anticipating Lono Kona, right? When we went down the road and the EPA came out, we didn't anticipate that we were going to get Nalego and Pau, and we certainly didn't anticipate Honoka'a. And those are all on top of what we were already doing, and so we still feel behind in terms of trying to address these, but we're doing them as fast as we can. We hope nothing new materializes until we get these underway and contracted. But it's always an unknown, because you're dealing with the EPA, and if they find more large capacity cesspools out there, then we may be asked to help out.
So they're currently looking for it?
Sometimes they come up. We've heard some rumblings that there may be issues in Pahoa similar to what they were in Honoka'a, because you have a lot of restaurants. You have very small lots. You have buildings right up next against each other. So we are in the process through the planning department. They are going to be doing a study to take a look at whether Pahoa needs a sewer system. And so that's part of the Puna Community Development Plan. So that's going to be down the road, but there's the potential that could end up being recommended through the study or through the Puna Action Committee as a project for the department to undertake.
And that would be to create
A sewer system and to take care of the village of Pahoa.
Would you be surprised it doesn't come to that?
I
would think that would have to happen.
And it's going to be the same kinds of issues like in the Lake and Pahoa. Where do you put it? Right? How do we design gravity flow? That's an old road. Where are people's pipes currently going? So it's speculative in the sense that we don't know exactly what will happen, but we think there's a possibility. So yeah, we're waiting to see what comes out of that study. And it came at the request of the people in Puna.
Is that your department do that study?
No, they're going to contract it out.
Through your department or through
No,
the
it's
planning?
going to be planning, because it was part of the community development plan.
Okay.
So it's going to be the planning department that, because it was more than just a sewer study, it was also whether they were going to have an infrastructure study, alternate roads, alternate connectivity. Part of that is they have the new park going in, and so they wanted more than just one road going to this new park. And then also if you have this other road, does it open up additional land in Pahoa for urban expansion, for industrial uses? So that study is going to be looking at basically trying to come up with improvements on the village design guidelines and the village design plan for the Pahoa area. And it's growing too. That's one of the reasons there's a lot of emphasis there.
How soon are they doing that study, or is it in?
It was in last year's, or rather this current year's CIP list. I believe I just saw some allocation, or either that or it was on the bond, but there was some recent activity that looks like it's gonna go out fairly soon.
So with regard to non-labor, whenever the department decides on a time for public meeting,
We'll announce it and we'll let you guys know.
great. Great, thank you.
And I'm gonna have to run off to my next meeting, because
Thank you, BJ.
I'm gonna go upstairs.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You.
Always
Thanks,
very
Laura.
informative. Joan?
Okay, we'll go down to C, I guess. North Kona Sewer Effluent Refuge Upgrade. Is there any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, in Kona, we discussed that already, partly with Bobby G. Is there any questions on that? Kealakea?
I just was curious on you said the cancellation of solicitation. Is that because you didn't get enough response? or-
No, what happened with the bid was, rather than going through another protest with the bid, we had a situation where the contractor with the best price had eliminated some of the requirements. It was, so we decided,
Oh,
and the next bidder was just too high if we consider, so we went out to rebid.
smart idea.
So the revised bid date is when?
What's that?
When is the new bid date?
It hasn't gone out yet. They're
Oh,
still working on
oh,
it.
okay.
I think Chip Danzill has it. Probably in a week or two, we'll probably have that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Wastewater equipment replacement project. It's already funded, getting ready to be accomplished. The Elon fault repair,
Issuance of federal permits,
what's that?
what are the delays with regard to the permits with regard to the fault repair?
That's to do with the Department of Health permits.
So does that look like it's,
I don't have, I don't know what's
Okay.
going on with that right now. I can bring it up next meeting.
That's the delays on getting those federal
Right.
permits.
Okay.
I would be curious, I'd be interested to know that. Probably just the federal bureaucracy. but-
Exactly. Yeah, time, basically.
okay.
Wilo SBS regrouping, reviewing plans for the Wilo SBS have been completed. Sewer rate study update, that's ongoing right now because we're in a position where, it's been years since we've had a rate increase, and so we're looking at that increase.
That's been going on for quite a while.
Yeah.
Any guesses when that might, when it gets some final, that's gotta go enough to the council, the mayor and all of that.
And with the, to be honest with you, with the elections coming up, it's hard to get the council to approve something like that. But we're anticipating that we're gonna be ready to go right after the election.
Oh,
We have a plan to execute the cost increase request to the new city council. But to do it now would be of no advantage to us.
okay.
It wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Okay, with solid waste division, scrap metal and performance recycling. as you know, we're getting paid now. Before we were paying for scrap metal. Right now, we're getting $42 a ton for scrap.
County.
It goes back to our general fund, yes. The used tire program, we had two bidders. We had the bid set up for different locations. One of the bidders, which was the lowest bidder, only selected Hilo site, which was very low, and the second bidder was bidding on all sites, but the difference between that was $410 a ton from the Hilo bidder, $1,100 a ton for all of the other sites. So we're just gonna have to, first of all, we don't have a budget for that, so we're gonna have to rebid that.
And that's a cost to the county.
That's a cost to the county to get rid of the tires, yeah.
Anything else to figure out something else for the road?
All right, what was that number again?
The low bidder for one location was $420 a ton. And that was just a small company deal that was gonna take care of picking up the tires, and we were paying $410 a ton. 420 a ton, yeah. And the other competitor who did it was $1,100 a ton, which is really a big. And in the contract that expired in 2013, we were paying $420 a ton, basically. And I think $435 for Conaside. But that was under the old contract. And this happens to be the same bidder that came back up at $1,100. So, and there's a reason for that, because H-Power will take these tires. So we're even right now, we have somebody looking at if we were to ship them to Honolulu,
Yeah.
and H-Power was able to take it. So we're evaluating the cost, that's right now.
Yeah.
We're evaluating the cost. But the concern we have is putting in a container is no problem. Shipping is $1,400 a container, which is not a real serious problem for us. The problem is at H-Power, it has to be in a dumping container. When you take it to the H-Power, you can't take a massive container and just take it there and unload. It's not even if we had the manpower to do that, it's a dumping situation when you come to that H-Power. So we're looking also at seeing if we have somebody that would want to bid to pick up these containers and dispose of it at H-Power or Unitech. We've even contacted Unitech to see, because Unitech supplies tires to H-Power also. And the last tire meeting I had been to, they were really short of tires. Unitech was looking for tires, so we said, well,
Yeah.
might as well take them our time. We're gonna ship it to you if you want, you know.
Yeah.
So that's,
Unitech is, I'm not.
Unitech's another recycled tire company. It's, and the Volcano Linwood Transfer Station, that's going on right now. That is another
Oh, John, just quick about this one. What are we currently paying for that used tire?
we're not paying anything right now because we don't have a contract.
Oh, so
We're
they're
just
just
storing.
stockpiling.
Right now, we're storing them, and that's a concern because there's environmental
Right.
requirements when we store them.
Yeah.
And under the compliance for solid waste division of the transfer station, we're reviewing all of the permits, those permits. Scrap metal cleanup site. We have a consultant firm that did an investigation of both the Hilo and Calicadia site. And, DOH is in the process of approving the plan of our cleanup. The consultant firm was pretty confident that they wouldn't have a problem. They've done this in the past. The company we hired does this for a lot of the other islands, and so they felt that they were going to have no problem getting it approved through DOH, so we're just waiting on that to happen.
Can I go up just on the scrap metal appliance? Do all the transfer stations accept appliances?
No, not all of them.
Is that
It has, only certain ones, because you have to have you have to have space, first of all, and then you only limit it to how many you can collect on a particular day.
It's according to the DOH permit
Our permits,
for each transfer station.
Mm-hmm.
and they vary on the permits because of the size of the location. Recycling section. Well, we went from 5 locations to 6, and it's there's even a cost savings, I think was, I can't recall, was it 32, 38,000? Yeah, we're gonna save like 32, 38,000, I'm not sure exactly, but it's in the 30s. And having one more site available now, so we're gonna be paying less than we did with 6 sites.
For high five.
Yeah, for high-five, yeah.
Is there any, I mean, with the high five, the certified redemption centers, the county.
Right.
And the private folks that do it.
We're getting confused.
Yeah, I know.
The extra side is on the reuse center, not
The
the.
reuse, oh, yeah, that's right.
We're talking about
Reuse
two
center.
different contracts.
2 different contracts, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's right.
Right.
I'm thinking of that.
Right, because the high five, that would involve the state money
The state
Yes.
money.
and, right, so,
But with the bid now the way it is, there's a possibility that they're not, some of these people that are taking the recycle, they're willing to take it and pay us. And if that's the case, then we won't get funded from the state.
the state.
And in that situation, we wouldn't even have to manage as many contracts as we would on the recycling.
So that's the hope,
That's the hope, that's what we're, you know,
looking for.
and it looks like it might happen.
So there are 5 locations instead of 6?
That's
That's
what
reuse.
No, I was confused, I was talking about the reuse centers, I'm thinking about, because I'm excited about the savings. I was all excited, when that bid came through, I was really excited to see that happen.
But this could be, additional savings too.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah, if they want to give us money versus having to state money on it.
Do you have a ballpark figure?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And the thing is, when we're getting money with the state, it's time intensive, labor intensive for us, because we have to manage the contract and do audits and make sure that,
Paperwork, all of that.
yeah, that's a lot of work, quarterly reports and invoices.
When do you think that might be complete then? Because right, you're just generating the bid right now.
Yeah, and I had no idea Greg's working on that, Greg's working on that.
Okay, well, anyway, great idea.
The household address, we have one on March 1st in Waimea, 8 Boa. Now, back to what I was talking about, the 6. This is great to see us saving the money, have one more location in Kilo, which we haven't had in the past.
And that one would be planned to, when it theoretically would be up and running in this time frame.
Yes,
This year.
contracts, yeah, we already, the contract's been issued.
Oh, so it's imminent.
That's imminent, yes.
Oh, good.
Electronic recycling, that's still going on, our contract until, what, 14? And plastic bags, we still have people going out, educating the public with signs and posters on storefronts.
Have there been any incidences or any problems with,
We had one site, was it
There's
one?
one site in Waimea
Waimea,
that someone reported that they were
still using plastic bags.
because I hadn't heard of it.
Who was that?
Um,
What?
Is that the Foodland, the one that's in that
Yes, it's,
strip mall?
Oh, you mean
it's next to a coffee shop.
Somebody
Starbucks.
was,
Oh, so Foodland.
Yeah, yes, we call it Second Saving Eel, it's Foodland.
yeah.
That's the store dog.
Oh, without charging.
There's no plastic bags at any of the counters.
What's that?
Food line in Waimea, I go there every day. There's no plastic bags in any of the counters,
Somebody
only paper bags.
had called our office and complained about it.
Was it prior
Yeah.
to January then?
Oh,
No,
Was it-
like we got a complaint
That was,
before,
we had one for long.
we got
so
a
that was prior to-
complaint last year that they were giving away plastic bags and not charging. Now, we got a complaint right after the first of the year that they were,
Yeah, that's,
you
yeah.
know, so.
So,
L&L was, not food
Not
line.
charging.
oh,
Spend somebody from
with the
KTA.
handles on the back.
Yeah, L&L is in that, is right next
Right,
door to
yeah,
food
right.
line further down.
I'm wondering if the person reported it, no, it was Foodland on our report.
We
But
have,
anyway, our
yeah.
recycle coordinator was looking into that, so I don't know a report back from her.
We also haven't, that I know of, gotten any calls complaining about the new law either.
No, I haven't known nothing's come in, no.
Everybody seems to be.
And the backyard composing workshop is still increasing.
I discovered they're actually every other week in Waimea.
Yeah,
There's a couple that does it for Recycle Hawaii.
right, yeah, exactly, they're doing
And they're at the farmer's market every week.
Right.
Every other week, they have the class, for $10, you walk away with a.
We haven't
second
figured out.
Composting bin.
So when is the next workshop? We have January 18th listed here. Would it be,
Well,
March?
always, their complete schedule is Recycle Hawaii that does it,
Okay.
and their complete workshops are on their website, Recycle Hawaii.
Did you? Well, I was 20 years ago, so I have my, big composter. Sorry.
Okay, on the HR issue, the recycling substitute for West Hawaii, I haven't determined if we're going to fill that position because depending on the DOH contracts that we have, and if we don't have managed any more contracts, we're probably going to be able to utilize the ELO person part-time going to Kona once or twice a week. So hopefully, based on the workload that I see this, the hospital will do away with that position or reallocate it somewhere else. As far as the sort station update, you see the numbers, it's not really numbers I'd like to see, but because we don't have a full sort station operation, what we're working with, basically that's all we're getting. We're utilizing the space, with the waste of energy coming up, this may go away, it depends on it. And so that's part of the reason for these numbers looking like they do.
Well, I still don't know how much it costs us to do that.
The reason
Would
we
it
don't
be
know,
worthwhile
we don't-
just quitting it? No,
What's
that's
that?
what I've been trying to figure out. You know, how much money do we pay to do the sort station?
Well, see, we don't have-
Use these guys somewhere else better, or people that are working there. Could be, I don't know, I just.
What we're doing
I
is
never
we're
felt
using
it was
our-
Probably worth the money, but.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth the money, but we're utilizing personnel from our transfer station, so we're not actually, we don't have additional people that just take care of the storage station. We're using our facility attendants on a rotation basis. When we have, on a slower day, we have more, and a higher day and sorting, then we just move a person around. So there's no designated sort person. We're not.
No, but there's some cost involved in
The cost
running the
is
sort station.
limiting the number of people that we have at the transfer stations. Now, the cost would be the labor, not the labor cost, but the material cost of the fuel and the equipment. that we use.
Equipment to
Yeah.
I've just,
But
you
that's
know, been
minimal.
trying to understand, how much we spend to do that. Is it worth it? I
I
mean,
talked
could we
to
use that money
the
elsewhere?
manager this week specifically about your request. And you may just want to talk to her, but she says they don't independently track just the sort station because it is in line with the other transfer stations. So the employees rotate through, but yeah, there is electricity costs and equipment costs. It's just not, the sort station is not tracked independently.
Well,
So she doesn't have a figure to give.
so, Well, I guess, I would just like to have some idea, and I think the department should have some idea of what it costs to run the sort station. If you quit it, could those people that do the work there be better utilized doing other work somewhere else? I don't know. I'm just asking. It just seems like.
If we've shut
We
down the
got
station, we
50%
wouldn't lose any employees because we still utilize them.
No, I'm not trying to get rid of employees. I think, I just wonder if if you need somebody, we can't do this job because we got somebody has to take care of the sort station, for instance. And, how much money
Just
does
in
it
staff
cost
rotation.
to do like 4% or 5% of the, total of the tons diverted?
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, how much money are we spending to do that? I mean, might be better off just not doing it.
Right.
I don't know. I'd be interested to know. That's all I was trying to find out.
Is that everything, John?
That's it for the report, yes.
Any questions, commissioners, on the, John's report?
Thanks, John.
Well, it's not my report, she she did it before she left, she waited to
Engineer's report.
yeah, right.
Can I just
It
ask?
might be mine
So
the
we
next
put
time.
you on the hospital.
Right.
I just wanted clarification what the acronym CWSRF money.
Clean Water State Revolving
State
Fund.
revolving fund, state revolving fund.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, John, for pitching in.
Thanks, John.
Good job. Next on the agenda, we have commission member district update reports. Tom?
I met with Jay Yoshimoto, and he was very pleased to have had the mayor present the, the treatment or solid waste, plan, and very happy to see that, and just wants to be, the council and us to, keep them up to date on how that progresses. So very happy with that.
Thank you.
No.
John?
No report.
With regard to District 6, I think we already brought it up. I had Mr. Kim Fox call with regard to the non-lays,
Right.
site selection, and I also had another communication, actually, that we're going to deal with later on the agenda.
No,
Trina?
no report.
Sure?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. On Monday, I went to the South Kohala CEP meeting. And on their list of CIP projects they're backing is the Puako's wastewater treatment facility. It was interesting because the head of the Puako Community Association came in and said, no, we don't want that. That they're working with a professor from UH, they're investigating the possibility, and the community association seems to be in favor of individual treatment facilities at a cost of $20,000 to $40,000 per home.
Can they,
Well,
do they,
I mean, just-
do they feel
They can afford it.
Well, not everybody there.
No, I'm being facetious.
Are they willing to help those who cannot?
I don't know, but they're working on this, they think this is the best answer, because they don't think it's realistic that something's ever gonna happen with a treatment
For
plant.
that, yeah.
They wanna move ahead, they're concerned about the condition of the reef, although, Dr. Bill Walsh, Aquatic Resources, the problems in the reef might be due to pharmaceuticals, caffeine,
Oh, yeah.
laundry detergent, brighteners, none of which are affected by nitrogen, these plants. I mean, you may clean up your cesspool properly,
Right.
and still,
You're not gonna do it that way.
but the Puaco Association is in
Are they
favor.
talking about a private company to do the waste treatment? Private, because in a way I wouldn't.
Home by home, individual.
by home.
Individual.
So, I mean, they're septic, I mean, what do they have?
I think some have it. They're also doing a survey soon to figure out exactly how many cesspools there are.
Oh,
They
okay.
know there are 40, there may be more.
Because, there was talk of that down at Propo, trying to do individuals, and then when they heard about the cost, or
Yeah.
determined the cost, they threw that out the window. But, considering all the homes that are.
Well, I'll get the name of the technology, actually.
Yeah, and I'm curious because I didn't know about a private type of, you could have an individual.
Well, you can, Kaiser Permanente is in the process of establishing a wastewater treatment plant, Coniside, Ruth Ecological, or Rock Ecological.
Yeah, it's private companies that run it for them, so it's.
Right, exactly, it's all private, and they have the money to pay for it and obviously maintain.
But this is a home-by-home free treatment system.
Wow, that's interesting, so is there, which technology is it?
I'll find out, I'll get the
Okay,
details on
that'd
it.
be great.
The Puaco Association person left before the meeting was over, I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I had an interesting request from somebody living in Waimea who said, my friends don't believe that everything really does get recycled. Where does it go? What can you tell us about what gets recycled here, what goes off island, what goes to the mainland, what does the county pay to have recycled, and in which instances do they get money? It'd be great if there were just a bullet point list that says, here's what happens to paper, here's what happens to tires, here's what happens to metal. It could just be brief.
They're saying,
And put it on the website or
the
something.
public is saying that we're not everything is.
What she told me was that She thinks everything gets separated and then it all goes into, anyway.
No, but I'll tell you what.
Explain that that's not the case. But it's
There is
not the
a
case.
percentage at the transfer station that get dumped in there, we have no control. Because when this person puts in the bag, you have no idea. But that percentage is so low, you know, I don't know how we can come up with something that's, the tires, right now, we're doing absolutely nothing with tires until we get a contract.
Sure, but I
And
mean,
metal,
it's-
we're getting paid for metal. Recycle, people are recycling because they want the money, so you're not seeing.
but I think the information she was looking for is like, what happens to glass?
There's two kinds
So
of
what we
glass.
need to do is to go back to our vendor who has our recycling
Yeah, I know.
contract.
Right.
Because
If
we
you
know
do-
what, we take it to them, and they sort it, we've been there, we've seen that. And then they sort it in quantities and ship that to a recycling company on the mainland. That's what, I said that, that's what we think happened, that's what,
It's in the contract
But
that they have,
the
they do
business-
that.
yeah.
They have to also specify who they're shipping the material to.
right, they have to have.
And it has to be a certified facility.
What about the high five?
But I think that's enough information, just to say this goes to a
Right,
certified
Has to go
facility
to-
on the mainland.
right, and that's what
This-
happens, and that's
If
what.
the tire thing works out,
Yeah, it has
you know,
to.
that'll go to Oahu and go to
That-
Chicago.
yeah,
I
that'd be
actually,
But just the
yeah.
category by category,
But tires are not, I mean, we
what
don't
costs us
accept
money, what do
tires,
we get
so,
money for?
yeah, we don't accept tires, so we shouldn't be recycling. What we have are tires that inadvertently.
We have no choice but accepting tires we find on the side of the road or,
Yeah,
and
but
that's the
they're,
problem.
yeah, but they're banned from the landfill, so we actually, the county does not accept tires.
But we're also taking
But they get-
tires out of the landfill
Oh,
because
we-
every once in a while,
yeah.
people put them in a bag.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as soon as, we have a spotter at the landfill that
Mhm.
spots what's coming out. So if they see it breaking, we
Yeah.
definitely pull the tires out. So that's part of the tires that we have stockpiled now.
So what we're doing, and it's not really our tires that we're accepting,
Right.
we're just having to deal with it.
That's,
But I think that's a good point he makes. I think it'd be nice if you had a concise.
Where the stuff really
We
goes.
have a
This
report.
for us
Yeah.
educating
Yeah.
us individual and the
Oh, yeah,
population. Maybe
but-
make people want to recycle even more.
I think it's on the website, actually, to tell you the
But
truth.
maybe, but maybe we just need
Yeah.
to put something.
It's
out there.
it's on
I'll
the
let-
Hawaii Zero Waste website,
Okay.
and we can get a copy of it next time. It is a report they do on a monthly basis or quarterly basis.
They updated them. on the-
Yeah.
so
To
Sharon,
you got to the department?
And the website.
To the website.
It's
Oh,
on
and
the
the website.
website.
To the website.
Yeah.
on that, Sharon, do you see, I mean, I'll look myself, but if you know offhand, the potential high fives that go into the mixed recycling? Is there mention of
That's
that?
not pulled. No, I mean, we don't pull them.
Because I think people are under the belief that, oh, I'll just put the high five in the mixed recycling and that money, you know. if you
Yeah,
come
no,
back,
because
or is it
it's
lost?
totally two different contracts and two different programs.
Right, so the
So,
high five that goes in there, this is a discussion, you know, I've had. Why don't you just take it to, you know, redemption center? Oh, no, I'm gonna put it in here, and, you know, the money will go.
yeah,
somewhere.
No,
Not
the
so
person
sure
makes out, the
about
private
that.
company makes
Two
out.
Well, and I think-
Company
and-
gets the money.
If people are, you know, stupid enough to do that, then I think that hopefully they do get.
hopefully the private company just pulls
Yeah.
them out. I would
Yeah.
too.
Right.
I hope so.
So my question is, does the private company do it?
But that's not our business.
No, but
I
it
mean,
would.
but we have a contract with them to bring the bins, take the recycling bins back. We don't have any
Right.
control over what they do with
No,
it
I'm
after
not
they
saying
leave our
whether we have
facility.
control or not, I'm just, the question would be nice to know, what do they do with it?
So they would have to ask the private company.
Correct.
Could we put that on an agenda to maybe get a brief, just at least to the commissioners on
Karen,
what-
you want
what's
to
happening?
invite the vendors, is that what you want to do?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But they were just a short, you know, presentation that would educate us maybe as to what does happen to the
Okay.
material that goes through the recycle.
My final item is, next to the Waimea transfer station is a 400 home Department of Land and Homeland subdivision. It's going in, infrastructure is going in, they're getting ready to pave roads, the curbs are there, they're going to start building. Some of these homes, the Waimea transfer station is a very windy spot.
Right.
Previous reuse station got blown down,
Right.
torn apart by the wind. Some unlucky person who will have waited decades to make it to the top of the list is gonna draw the lot and have a home, you know, if this is their backyard, the dumpster's right
The
there.
first house being built is closest to the transfer station. Did you know that? First house is gonna be put, first.
What's gonna happen?
Forward.
Is there any kind of mitigation that can happen?
Right now, we have our engineer looking at it because not only is there a problem with the road they're putting in, it's cutting off our road. For us to get in and out is a situation that's really hazardous. And once that road goes in, we're gonna have to use part of that to come out of there with our large trucks. And that's not gonna work. So right now, it's, we have DWP engineering looking at it with our engineer and trying to figure out how we're gonna reroute that
Yeah.
and make it work, because it's a disaster. And putting up a screen protecting that is not the only, wind moves in different directions. Putting up a screen, how high do you go, 20 feet, 30 feet? I mean, and that's gonna, you know.
Yeah.
Part of the Hawaiian Homes selections of locations, there's a reason for that. They do that so they're close to water, to electricity, because there's a transfer station, you know, electrical power plant right there. And that's part of the reason they get in these locations. So it just happens because we have electric right there, and then we haven't been there a long time.
It's cheaper
They
for them to
pick it.
develop. all
Cheaper
the
for them to
facilities
develop
there.
with being close to that, so it's really a bad situation. We're totally aware of that. In fact, this has been an ongoing thing for a long time. We just became aware of it when they started putting up the fence line to start working there. We weren't even aware that they were gonna come this soon. So anyway, it's being looked at right now, and it's gonna be a problem. I think it's gonna be an awful problem.
What's the name of it, Mr. Chairman, you said?
I
thought you put a name.
I guess the Lalumilo,
Yeah, the lower part,
so
right?
why not?
Hawaiian Homes, right? And just the access, that road,
Oh, that road, it's
where
just
it meets
nuts.
Coney High Road, is
20 feet
gonna be a
wide.
very difficult intersection.
Oh, yeah.
It's got bad sightline problems already. Yeah, the
And we were
traffic-
trying to figure out a way to get out of there, not even using that road, and it's gonna be difficult to procure land down there.
Anything else, Sharon?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you very much. Unfinished business, none, new business, update on water shut off by Department of Water Supply for non-payment of sewer bills. I think we see that legislation
Right.
moving forward on that. Anything else on that, John?
No, I don't have anything else on that.
Because, actually, that'll be coming to us, to the commission for review and comment.
It's on the March 25th agenda.
And then we have to have response by April 4th,
Yeah.
10th. And our next meeting will be on a Tuesday and not the Wednesday in Kona. Update on the mayor's alternative, already presented. Update on the solid waste division accounts receivable, not payable, we have a little typo there. What's,
Oh.
Yeah.
I just got a report this morning on that. Right now, we have $598,146 current collected for the ending January 31st. 31 to 60 days delinquent, 151,464. 61 to 90 days, $32,872. Over 90 days, now this is kind of a skewed number. This over 90 days is $839,190. Part of that, $252,000 over 90 days is in corporate counsel to negotiate a closeout on some of that. So they're settling the $252,000 with our corporate counsel. So it's actually the over.
Department, your department's council?
Yeah, our corporate counsel.
Okay.
So that, actually the over 90 days is like $586,000 right now.
and it used to be, a couple of years ago, do you remember, Tom?
It was at least over $1 million, $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shut down a lot of, they're not coming in, and also, we have a better accounting system, I think, in place right now.
I'm sorry.
We have a better accounting of this, we're currently watching this on a monthly basis.
Much better. I think that's a great effort that you're making. So, keep up the good work.
Right.
Excellent. Any questions regarding that subject? Update on the State Department of Education's recycling efforts.
I didn't get an input from our coordinator, that's still
Okay,
an ongoing.
we can put that for March, just keep on that.
Yeah, we'll keep that on there, yes.
Bruce, did you have anything on that?
Yeah, I talked to Cheryl Hashimoto. She's the Hilo District Facilities Administrator. And she is control of all the facilities, and they don't have anything on the state level. They don't have anything as far as recycling in the schools. The only thing they have right now is clubs that want to make money are recycling at the schools. She said you folks can call her, because each district has their own coordinator. Like Hilo has, she's in Hilo. They have one for West Hawaii.
What was her name again?
Cheryl
Hashimoto.
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 Sumida.
Oh.
Sumida.
Oh,
Her maiden name is
That's the old high school.
Oh.
Telephone number.
Yes.
Yeah, I got her number.
Oh, okay.
It's 974-4885. She said you guys should call her and then maybe, I guess, work with them.
I'll have Linda.
She's not specifically in charge of recycling. She's more in charge of administrator
Administrative
for the whole district. But she said right now, they don't have anything set up as far as recycling goes, but she said the only thing they have is when the schools, clubs that wants to do recycling, then they, each on a school by school basis or club by club basis.
I see. Because we do have now, some of the schools are calling for a tour of our recycling facilities, so we have our two coordinators that take them out on.
Yeah, so maybe they can coordinate with her and West Hawaii one, the coordinator, and then maybe they can start something as far as maybe.
We had a
Yeah,
school, we
we'll
had
have
a
to let them know.
school call last month that actually wanted us to provide recycling bins for the classrooms. But it's not in the trash contracts, this was just in the.
Yeah, and it's more for like, each school does it.
Fund-
on their
fundraising
own.
for themselves.
It's not coordinated throughout the whole district, but she said it's something they can look at.
Okay.
So those are just high fives that they're using to.
Yeah.
fundraise.
Yeah, high five and newspapers and, because newspapers, some people buy newspapers.
Yeah, there was, I think,
Yeah.
newspapers.
But I'm
And
sure
cardboard, and-
if the school gets involved, then they can maybe set up something in the future.
Or, well, yeah, and I think ideally we could have a contract, on the trash that is
Included, that's
included in
been a
that,
problem.
sort of the goal.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And those contracts are run statewide, is that my understanding? So you'd have to really.
I believe that is
No,
the case.
it is
They're
They did
district
say
wise.
that.
Linda Peters told us here at the commission a couple of years ago, they were district-wide. And then Chair Gore told us a
Right.
couple of months ago that they had put recycling cardboard into the contracts here.
Right, okay.
Right.
When
Christine,
you
you here?
say district, you mean 9 districts have different
No,
contracts? or you
they're
mean
not
county?
council districts,
Not council
they're school
districts,
districts.
school
They're
districts.
school
School
districts.
districts.
Countryside, East Hawaii, then there's 2 major districts here,
Yeah.
and then 2 smaller ones.
Wouldn't it be easier if it were coordinated? I mean,
It's up to the state.
It's up to the state,
Yeah.
so it comes back to the state then?
yeah.
But there's not one statewide trash contract, it's by district.
Yeah, everybody.
Each district
seems
goes out
like
for their own contracts.
Everybody is like working independent of each other. That's one of the problems.
And on this island, the reason why is because you always had one rubbish hauler that could do one side, but not the other.
I see.
And so instead of making them go to the other side, they split that off, you know, and Kohala one is separate, that's a smaller one, but there's not many haulers that are willing to go out there. And then the south side of the island is also a separate one, because there's
So-
not many haulers willing to go there.
So geography plays a huge role.
Huge role, huge role.
And we don't have a lot of power haulers that
Yeah.
want to put recycling into the.
But I believe you said, Linda, that cardboard is
Linda
recycled
said
separately
that
by the, and
Karen,
picked up by
who
the.
works for DAGS, said that cardboard recycling is added to the contracts. I don't know which district,
Oh, okay.
because she just said.
Okay. Okay. Well, we can keep that on the agenda and just
Okay, yeah.
continue with information on that. Update on the Maui RFP and contract.
I have nothing on that.
It's been signed,
Signed.
but they still don't have a deal for utilities, but and we have the RFP and the contract.
For review and.
He just shared it with us,
Great.
so it's we're in the process. Yeah, so it's been signed, but there's been no no deal signed with the utilities.
Any questions on that, Commissioners? Okay. Discussion of Kealakekee wastewater treatment plant, effluent and future fund plans for capital improvements. And I think everyone received a handout. I received a communication from Stephen Holmes. He actually presented in front of the commission with regard to solar on a different subject matter. But this is with regard to Kealakekee wastewater treatment plant and the effluent. He sits on an advisory committee for the National Park Service, so they're the whole watershed, and so their concerns are, where is the effluent moving? The communication that he sent, has a map of, from the USGS actually, and his concern is that the effluent is going into a longitude, and what are the plans for Kealakekee? And that communication was also copied to Karen Eoff,
Dora Beck.
Dora Beck, but with regard to outside the.
Right.
There are two council.
Yeah, we all saw
members.
that.
We all saw, yeah, so,
Okay.
I don't know what their efforts have been, in promoting this, because even that private wastewater treatment plant at Kaiser Permanente, for the NPS is involved in that too. So I'm not quite sure exactly what their goals and objectives are, but has the National Park Service been in touch with?
Yeah, I don't
Dora
want to
Beck.
say a whole lot,
Okay.
but something, and because I don't know for sure, but something in my mind tells me that they had to go out for rebid because of some conditions that the National Park Service put on that project. No, I'm sorry, that's all I know.
Right.
So obviously, we have been working with the National Park Service, but maybe we just leave that on the agenda and ask Dora for
Okay.
more information. But I do know that. I do know that part of the rebid, I think, was because, or the delay in the bid was because of the conditions and restrictions that the National Park Service put on us for that project.
So we don't know what their jurisdiction is, I mean, National Park Service, I mean, it's, okay. Huh.
We
We had the
can-
bird, we had, the bird habitat issue in that area.
Yeah,
Why is the MPS involved with the Kaiser one? Is it just because it's Mackay or them, or?
I think it's part of that whole, I'm trying to find out more because I sort of want to know what the purview of the National Park Service, is with regard to this whole watershed area, but I found it very interesting.
there's the area on the other side of West Hawaii Civic Center now that they've designated as critical habitat, not because the bird is there, but because
Right.
the bird could come there. So there's that whole area that's Malco of Wysit, of the West Wysit Center now that's under the same issue. That they haven't seen one, they haven't located one, but it's a habitat that would fit their needs, so they've designated that whole thing as critical habitat.
Right, and I had left a message to Stephen Holland because I want to know exactly what they propose. You know, would they have any ideas, you know, what is actually the National Park Service
Dora,
looking at?
so-
But I haven't heard back from him, so.
There's
Yeah.
another part
Yeah,
about,
I did mention this to Dora yesterday, she said, if there was any questions, you could call her.
Okay. Thank you. So, any other questions regarding that? We all had a visit of that actual wastewater treatment plant.
Well, I
Future-
think that, the guy raised a, valid, point in here, so I think we ought not to, totally, we need to get more information about it or find out what kind of a plan, so I think it's great you put it. So we need to, keep this on the agenda or keep something
Keep
similar?
it, on the agenda.
Try to find
What are
out.
the expectations of the department coming from this? What exactly are they hoping for? Because, we're working towards, R1, we're working to increase the capacity of that, and I think it's also important for, other services or, public to understand either our financial obligations, commitments, and obstacles, et cetera. So, there's a lot of money in these, clean water state revolving funds that we're very reliant on. There are all kinds of stipulations and regulations that we follow with that and timelines. So it's fine to receive communications like this and be aware of people's concerns, but, what is the reality of the department? What, can we do, and who is willing to help the department, in these efforts? Because it's a collaborative effort, and I think, people need to understand, yes, we're county, however, we have obstacles we need to overcome too, so. I didn't really see any solutions in that email that was sent. It's more a question,
Right. That's what.
what are you doing?
Right.
So,
Then maybe we could make an agenda item to have someone, brief us on what, like you said, what the department considers, this, I guess, for long term.
I'm sure there's questions before,
I'm sorry?
I think there'll be questions from our wastewater people before we can really answer.
Yeah.
right,
Until we get more information.
Okay. Well, I think that's fine.
right, is it going to longitude,
Right.
what is going on and why, are the reasons for it, et cetera. So it's a continued agenda item, Tom. Any other questions on that subject?
I have a question.
Yes.
The second part of that item is future funds and plans for capital improvements. We're talking about all wastewater capital improvements, and do we need a list? Is that what we're asking for?
I think, given the email received from Stephen Holmes, well, good question.
And I don't
I
know
would
what.
say not yet.
Right.
No, not yet.
And March meeting is when you get your budget packets,
Right, so
and Robin will be there.
we'll see what's available and timeline
Yeah.
and more information from wastewater, really.
So, can I,
Yes.
let you know that I just got tapped to go with the college to a conference on the 24th to the 26th, so I won't be able to be here. So I'm hoping you have quorum with the bond.
And everyone else,
Unless
What,
it
what
was-
date is the March?
March
March
25th.
25th.
I mean,
That's a
it's
Tuesday.
It's possible I'll be
Yeah.
back on the 26th, you
Yeah.
should do the 27th, but I guess if you have quorum with, on the
I think the
25th.
Tuesday worked for everyone.
Yeah.
That's what we voted on.
Yes.
All right. Unfortunately, it
But-
just came,
So
just came
far,
about.
Yeah.
April, I will not be, at least
Well,
at this point.
And I really hope for March, because that's the budget.
Yeah,
March,
because by the next time it will already be submitted and on its way. So
Yeah, so sorry about that.
everybody else okay for March?
So,
Okay, so for next meeting, John, we might have an update from, wastewater regarding the concerns.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions, Tom, regarding that?
No.
Anyone else? So future agenda items, Sharon, we can keep that.
And DOE.
And exactly. And then, any updates on the, waste reduction technology, given next week's the big start?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
If there's anything.
We should be in process.
Oh, yeah.
And I think John's question as to who will be forming the review committee.
All the review committee, yeah, that's.
Bobby said she'd get back to us.
She'll take care of that.
Can we
Right,
just
but
get a
just
bullet
keep it
point
as an
list of
agenda.
Yeah, that's fine.
the milestones in the
It'll be
process
in
of this?
Okay.
That'd be great.
Right.
If I could have
I
started
don't
doing
trust my
it,
notes.
I would have, but
I have no feeling we'll spend time talking about it.
Right, I mean, it's an accelerated timeline, and that's.
Yes.
Right, but that's why I was asking, what potential obstacles do you see, and given just what we see with, day-to-day operations in the end, permits are huge. And yes, who's ever bidding has to have those permits in place, but there's also an airport there, I mean, there are others, perhaps, criteria like.
Well, they don't have to be separate permits, DOH permits until the contract's awarded. You can't get permits
True.
on a site before.
But I'm just saying the accelerated timeline and when this would be operational, I just think it's maybe a reality check as to, what whoever wins the bid might be facing. Perhaps.
Good.
Because it's very exciting and you want it to happen, but
Yeah, there will be.
Well,
obstacles.
we still have to go before council. They still have to
That's the
approve
other
the
problem.
contract. I mean, we had awarded the contract to Wheelabrator before the county had, but the council didn't approve the money for it. So it's gonna hinge on,
council.
in the end, it's gonna hinge on the
Right.
council, no matter what. Who do we decide on, they have to approve the money for the contract. And that's what happened with Wheelabrator. We had already awarded it. And the county did not, the council didn't fund it. So that's a big step at the end.
It's a big step, and so far, at least on February 4th, we saw council members, I mean, I think just about every one of them supported the timeline of the project.
It's the money.
Well,
Oh, yeah, well,
Well, they have to approve.
when it gets down to the
It gets down to
nitty-gritty,
money.
it's a lot of stuff to be done between now and then.
Yeah.
however, the hope is that it would be privately funded. If that's
Well, yeah,
what the mayor
yeah,
said.
yeah.
Well, yeah, we should have to pay them.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm saying is if they're so supportive, then it will be a positive flow.
Choose it or unchoose.
It's money. It's money.
It's money. Okay, well, any other questions regarding any of the agenda items?
Yeah.
Future agenda items? Any
I'll do
future
that.
agenda items that, suggestion from anyone?
Other than what we already put in, I
Right,
don't have any.
okay. And so future agenda items, sewer connection waiver exemption policy update, and
Jay,
2014-15 budget. Those will be on the next agenda. And if there aren't any other questions, I believe we can move to adjourn.
Take a motion. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, John. for-
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Great seeing you. And Sharon, always thank you. Seeing you.
It's like, it's a mess.
Yeah.